to really take note, inshallah. Okay, so the letter Kha, when we have added Dhamma vowel, which is the U sound, right? So the Kha is the Kh, and the Dhamma is the U. So we're going to add the Kh to the U, and it becomes Khu, right? Khu. It seems quite normal, quite ordinary, nothing special about this letter so far, right? It sounds just like the other letters, like the Ju, Hu, and Khu, right? Ju, Hu, and Khu. If we take the letter Kha with the Kasra, so the Kha, it has the Kh sound, and we add the Kasra, which is the E sound, so we add the Kh to the E, it becomes Khi, right? Khi. 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 Nothing extraordinary about so far. So Khu and Khi. And what do I mean nothing ordinary? Because it's just like the other letters. So for example, Bu, Tu, Thu, Ju, Hu, Khu. Okay. B, T, Thi, Ji, Hi, Khi. Quite normal. And I want to use this example given by Muhammad Ashrafi. He says Khalifa. Now this is interesting because the Kha over there has a Fatha vowel. Now normally when we pronounce this word, we say Khalifa, right? Khalifa. But this becomes interesting because when you look at how it's actually pronounced in Arabic, with a Fatha, we have the Kh, and we have a A. So it should be Kha, like we say Khalifa, right? But it's not like that. It is Kha. It's Kha and not Kha. So you see with the Dhamma vowel and the Kasra vowel, it seemed quite normal. Once we had the Fatha vowel, it differed, right? Kha instead of Kha. Now, obviously, this has a reason. There is a reason for this. And we're going to discuss that now in detail. Okay. So that moves us on to the full and deep sound. This sound or this concept called the full, or you can call it the deep sound, right? If I can give you a bit of an introduction to this concept. So the concept of the full sound, right, is basically essentially what it is a tone, it is a sound tone or tune, right? A very particular sound that is produced when we pronounce certain Arabic letters. That's all I want to say about the definition. So it's a sound, it's a specific tune, right, or tone that is produced when we pronounce certain Arabic letters. Now this concept, right, just so that we can take it bit by bit, right, it has many dimensions. So on one side it has the sound. So we were going to ask, what exactly is the sound that you're talking about that it makes? How exactly to make the sound? Number one, so what the sound is. Number two, you want to ask which letters have these sounds. Number three, we can ask, okay, how do we apply this concept in these letters? And the last thing, right, that we want to ask is basically, what are the common mistakes made, right, with this concept? Yes. So Taslima Ali, we're going to answer that question right now, and I want to put it in a specific order so that you will not be confused again, right? So it's not in someone asking, is it the articulation point? It's not the articulation point. Okay, let's get back. So don't worry. If you have any questions after this sort of exposition that we'll be doing, you can let me know immediately after the class. Even if we go over time, I will end the class and I will stay for your questions, for any question that's specifically out of the topic. But for now, I want you guys to really just focus with me on this. Okay, so is everyone ready? Is everyone with me and so far? It's a very important concept, especially if you want to, when you speak about Tajweed and you want to move on to study, to read Quran with Tajweed, this is really going to just be there all the time. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, the full and deep sound. I said when I spoke about earlier, there are basically questions we want to ask whenever we're dealing with a concept. And that is how our lessons go. Right? If you've seen previously, we always deal with it in this way. We break the thing up and we see exactly what's going on and what do we need to know. The first thing, when it comes to this concept, we want to know the sound. What is the sound? How does it sound like exactly? Number two, we want to know which letters have this sound. Number three, we want to know, is there any particular way or any particular time when we should apply this concept, right? And lastly, especially with this concept, we always want to mention the common mistakes that are made by readers, Arabic readers, when we are speaking about, or when this concept is being applied. Okay, this is for the first one, the sound. Now, if you can even just see by this picture over here, you kind of get the point, right? In terms of, if you can just imagine the sound that this man is making. So let's just do a quick exercise, right? So I'm going to just do this. So if you listen to the sound of the A vowel in the words that I'm going to bring up. So on the one hand, we have here tan. Okay. On the other side, it's ta. So tan, ta. Okay. Another example. Ban. And on the other side, ba. So I'm going to start from the top again. Tan, 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 ta, ban, ba, ba. You guys notice the difference? Okay. Now, simply put, very simply put, the one on the left is the full sound. That's it, right? That's the full sound. That's the sound of it. So if you look at example here, I have the letter ha. So the letter ha is ha. So you can see, look here, ban, ha. It's both open. Ban, ha, ba, ha, tha, ja, ha. But when we come to this letter, it becomes ha, like ta, fa, ba, ha. So can you guys give me quickly a few words that has this full A in it? So like jaw, ba, ka. Can I get some words? Ball, right? So that's close, right? That one is it can work. For, I'm more interested in this particular sound, for and ka, barn. Why the sound is because that is the exact sound of the full sound in the Arabic, right? But when we say ball, it's a bit too round. So the ha is not like that because we don't say ho, ball, ho. So I'm more interested in this one, ta, army. Yes, army. We say that jaw, ma, bomb. Is that it? Okay. So do you guys get it? So that is basically the form. Excellent. So that is the full sound. It really is not a difficult concept, right? And I want you to walk away today to be very confident about this. Very, very, very confident. Inshallah. Okay. Let's move on quickly. I want you to look at this guy over here. So imagine this guy is saying this over here. So he's singing away in the way that he's singing, like he's looking over there, and we give him this text and tell him read that. He's probably going to say it as because his mouth is already in that direction or in that shape. Now, the opposite of the fullness, right? And this is not a technical term, like I'm not a musician, right? So I don't know what term they use for that note. But when it comes to tajweed, they kind of use this terminology. So we will use it here, right? So that is the empty sound. Whereas we look at this guy over here, if we give him the same script to read, tell him read that for me. If it's in that position, he's going to say, oh, am I correct or not? The one on the right is going to say, ah. The one on the left is going to say, oh. Right? So don't focus on the word full, right? So don't just say full sound. I want you to really understand and focus on the different dimensions of that concept. So we're dealing with the sound now. So it's that oh, that's a full sound. Yes, yes. So Nazia is right. Must it be pulled? No, right? It's just the sound, just the oh. That's what we're talking about now. Okay. So that on the left, that guy, that would be what we call the full sound. And the other one, the is the empty sound. So ba, ta, tha, ja, ha. So far, all those letters are with the guy on the right. When we come to the kha, it's kha, 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 right? Okay. So that's the sound, right? Sabrina, I'll get to you. That asked me that question again, the end of the class. It's an interesting question. Okay. So let's do, yes, I like that example. Yes, yes. Hudayfa, that's a good example. So let's look at let's read the words quickly as been said. Okay, so this is ba, ta. So watch my mouth. Tha, ja, ha, kha. Right. So we saw that. Now, here's something important to note. Remember, we're going to say something important about the sound that we need to remember, right? So now take note of this. And this is what happens. The first thing that many of us, when we start reading, the first mistake that we make is this, or the first struggle that we have in reading is this. So for example, here we have an empty letter, you can call it the ba, and then a full letter, kha, then an empty letter again, thi, and then again, kha. So if you look at this, if I have to read this, it will be ba, kha, thi, kha, ba, kha, thi, kha. You see how my mouth had to move back and forth from the ba, kha, thi, kha again, right? So now this is very important because you can't do it any other way. So let's say the first key over here is get comfortable with switching to and from the full sound. So if you have a word, right, that has, when you see any of these letters in there, for example, letter kha, it's normally going to throw you out in that way because it's not ba, kha, it's going to be ba, kha, thi, kha. It's an example. So we're going to give some more example, talk more about this. It's okay. You're very slow. In this case, right, I want to get the concept over because there are many letters, not many, but there are about 7, 9, or 8 letters that have this concept. And we going to, every time we come across a letter, we're going to practice again. So now the concept is important, right? So ba, kha, thi, kha. So get comfortable with switching to the a and back to the a, e, right? So that's the first key. The second thing I want to speak about is the letters of this concept, right? Okay. Now, this, for now, all you have to know is that this letter is part of it. The letter kha is a full letter, right? And you don't have to know anything more for the purposes of this lesson. However, this concept, I believe that it really don't have to be very difficult, especially in the future. What we're doing now, we're doing a bit of, kind of a bit of theory, but the purpose of that is not for this class. It's for the future. The theory is going to help you once you reach an advanced level. The theory will come and it will assist you in understanding the advanced concepts. Okay, so let's, in brief, which letters have this concept of fullness, right? So firstly, the letter Kha, and that's the letter we done now. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other letters that always are read full. There are 7 letters that are always has this concept. And you see, we've only done 1 so far. And that's all we're doing in terms of the letter today. As we do a lesson, we'll plug it in and we will revisit and we'll plug it in and revisit. So for now, the letter Kha is full. The second thing you need to know is that there are 2 letters. You don't need to know which one. If you know the letters, excellent. If you don't know, you won't be harmed. Is that there are some letters, it's only 2, that are sometimes they have this quality and sometimes they don't. And obviously, when we get to the letters, these letters, we are going to really dissect them in detail and see when exactly, in a way that we will not be confused. Good question. So we're going to get to that very soon. Okay. So like I said, for now, the letter Kha is one of them. And what you can, and it's good to know, is that there are 7 letters. They're always full. There are some letters. There are sometimes, right? So that will save you a lot of confusion later on. Okay. So also the key of this is take note of these letters in words. For now, only the Kha. So if you see a letter, a word, and you see, for example, you done the letter Kha, you see the letter Kha, and you say, okay, I want to take note here. How do I pronounce? I know I'm going to have to do some switching and changing. I might have to do some switching and changing. Let's move on to and this is going to answer the question that some 2 of you have asked already. What about the kasra? What about the dhamma? Is it still full? Right? So let's see over here. Let's do it by an exercise, right? So if you have the fatha vowel, which is the a sound, here's the a sound. Now let's apply it to all the letters. So let's see. Ba, ta, tha, ja, ha, kha. Right? You see that kha. So there we can see. So let's conclude with the fatha vowel. The full sound is going to be very distinct and clear. You will not miss it. And you cannot miss it. And you have to apply it. Ba, ta, tha, ja, ha, kha. You can see there, when the letter, the full letter, has a fatha vowel, it becomes very apparent. Kha. Okay. What about when it has a kasra vowel? Okay, let's see, right? Don't take my word for it. Let's see. It will be, so example here, B, T, C, G, Hi, Khi. Do it again. B, T, C, G, Hi, Khi. So if you watch my mouth, you would see that there was nothing really special. You say, I didn't get it. So if I tell you that letter is full, you say like, okay, it's full. How do I apply that? Or how do I know it's full? Let's do the last one, and then we'll sort of extract sort of something we can remember as a general rule, right? So let's do the dhamma. So watch my mouth. Bu, tu, thu, ju, hu, khu. Almost as if nothing changed. It's as if all the other letters, right? So then let's conclude that with the fatha vowel is the one that we are interested in. When you see a full letter, it has anything but the fatha vowel, right? Might have other things with the fatha. We'll speak about that later on, right? If it has a fatha, I want to take note of it. So now here's a good question. I'm asking, why is the last 2 the same? They sound similar, right? How do you mean they sound similar? They sound similar. So like hu, hu, you mean it sounds just like the other letters? G, حي خي حو خو G, Hi, Chi, right? Or the last two letters they are close pronounced each other, the Ha and the Kha, right? But for this, what we're speaking about now is when do we apply this full sound? And we said with a Fatha vowel. So let's just conclude on that. And let's extract something from there. If you have the letter Kha, with a Fatha, it will be Kha. With the Kasra is Khi, and you'll see it's just like the other letters, B, T, Thi, Hi, G, Hi, Khi, and here, Khu. It's just like the other letters, Bu, Tu, Su, Ju, Hu, Khu, just like the other letters. So then let's just conclude that when you see this letter and you want to apply the full sound, apply it when the letter has a fatha and pronounce the rest naturally. Don't worry about it. Does that answer the question that some of you asked so far? So some of you asked that, is it applied only with a fatha? It is really applied in all situations, but it's only apparent with the fatha, the kha. It will take a real sort of an expert to pick up the difference, to pick up this concept when you're reading with the kasra and with the dhamma, right? So for the purpose of this lesson, all we need to know is when we see the letter kha and the other letters that are coming, there's a fatha, it will be on the a sound instead of a. So ha, kha. How are you guys finding that so far? You guys, it is a bit, it's not as easy, right, as many concepts, but it's so important when it comes to, especially if you want to move into Tajweed, right? To start this, we'll start off with that concept early, and we're going to apply it with all the letters, and it will become easier, inshallah. It's a bit confusing. Okay, anyone else? Requires practice. Yes. So excellent. Okay. So yes. So when we speak about this concept, right, this is only an introduction. It's something that we're going to apply right throughout the course and in bits and pieces, right? But I sort of wanted to give you an introduction, understanding of the concept so that when we do go through it, you don't become confused as in there's more parts coming all the time. Now you know everything about it, right? And we'll sort of, now it's only the practice that's required. And at the end, I'll do some words some words. I did put some words in. Okay. The first mistake, right? Common mistake that readers make when they trying to say the letter with a full sound. So we said that, for example, it's like we look at the letters ba, ta, tha, ja, ha, kha, right? Now, a common mistake is sometimes for readers to say kho, kho. So if you round your lips too much, it becomes a bit too round, right? And that's a common mistake, right? So let us know if you've been making that mistake, right? So kho, not kho, kho, not kho, 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 kho. Has anyone here been making that mistake? Okay, excellent. So you can practice that. Don't round your lips. Number two, right? And here, this is now the application. Application, right? Okay, excellent. So this is the application. Here we go. So if you look at this word over here, right? There's the letter kha there. It's a full letter. A common mistake is to sort of when we apply this fullness to the wrong letter, right? So the letter kha is full, other letters are not. So the correct way of reading that word is tabakha, tabakha, tabakha. Now what happens if the kha influences the letter before it? It influences the letter before it, and it makes that letter also has a full sound. It becomes tabakha, tabakha. So if we say tabakha, it's incorrect because we sort of made the letter that don't have this fullness, we made that full. So tabakha. And that comes back to the first thing we said is that get used to sort of the moving forward or moving of your mouth. Know when you should go full and when you should stay neutral. All we're saying is that when you see this letter, the letter kha that we've done today, instead of doing the ah, you want to do the ah. That's in a nutshell. Okay. The second example here, if you look at this word over here, kha, the correct way is kha tha ba. Kha tha ba. Kha tha ba. Now, a common mistake was sort of to influence the letter after the kha. The letter kha is full. So to influence the letter after the kha and make that also full, that would be a mistake. So the incorrect way would be kha tha ba. Kha tha ba. You see how we said the tha with the ah sound? Tha. So it should be kha tha ba. Kha tha ba. And not kha tha ba. Yes, so someone's giving you